Okay, and thank you all those that have already joined our OpenAIRE Provide community call. It's always a pleasure to have you here. So if you have any, this is the place also to make questions, to any doubt about the services of OpenAIRE serving data sources, providers, repository managers, etc. So if you have any question, we will have time for sure for your questions after the first two presentations. So the idea today was to give some quick updates on the OpenAIRE guidelines. We are working for a bigger change, at least in terms of the details, the specifications of the metadata, but in terms of the let's say our different types of guidelines and levels of compliance, etc. We want to clean a bit our house in terms of interoperability metadata guidelines, and this is what we are going to try to make it clear for you. And then our colleague Sabil Sa from OpenAIRE will also update us on a survey from the IOSC Fair Metrics and Digital Object Task Force. This is not okay.
No, it's
No.
wrong. It's my fault.
Okay.
I forgot to update the
I
title.
was
Yeah. The
was
correct
really
title it's here in the first
okay.
slide.
Okay. Perfect.
Sorry.
I read, and after I read, I said, I don't think Sabil will talk about
Yes.
this. This was our alert the last call
Yes.
from with Mark and Eli Papadopoulou, that they mentioned this important service that they are running. In fact, they are already running, and they presented in our community call for the first time. Sabil, our colleague, will talk about the metadata scheme and Crosswalk registry. So it's more oriented, like to say, to interoperability metadata. This is what we want to update today. Good news in terms of the index. So the content was updated recently. In fact, it's good back because it is the last 2 months is monthly, in fact, updates. So you see that the content is from the 9th of May. We are always available to support, and if you didn't have the opportunity to change the compliance log, if you want to use this one, if you use the log of OpenAIRE, it's not wrong, of course, but if you want to make explicitly that you are an OpenAIRE indexed and validated provider, feel free to use the new logo that we have, and it's available in the dashboard. If you access the dashboard, you will have a button to download this. Okay, so this is, let's say, the main novelties that we want to highlight. So I have a short presentation complemented with some input from my colleague Leonidas, and then Sabil. We have questions, and then Sabil can also make the presentation, and then we discuss a bit. Okay. Okay, let's move to some highlights, and to also for you to be aligned with us, to expect what we are doing, these kind of things. Okay, this is why we want even this is a work in progress, what we are doing in terms of the guidelines, as we already started with we have some delays, etc., but it's good that our community be aware of that, and even to plan updates, to be aware of the changes, implementations in your side, etc. I think this is good that we, even if we don't have some things ready, at least you are aware of that. So some refactoring of our guidelines to make it clear for you. We already explained this in some venues, but we will try to make it clear here, and then some other ways also that make it explicit that we also can use not only OAI-PMH as the way to aggregate your content, but also different ways. So first things first, tidying up a bit. So we have this, let's say, portfolio of guidelines. Of course, the literature guidelines, the original literature guidelines, more focused on the institutional thematic repositories and publishing platform guidelines are those that are more used for the majority of you that you are here. But of course, then we also introduced the data archive guidelines. We did an update. Then in parallel, since almost the beginning, we start working also with Eurocris to establish clear guidelines. It was the way was more long, but at some point we established the guidelines, we updated the guidelines, we make it more mature, and this is what we have implemented. Even we have a validator for the CRIS systems. And within the expansion of the policy of OpenAIRE and the types of research outputs that we were aggregating, we also introduced the other research products and the software repositories guidelines, but in fact always in a draft beta mode. Okay. And we realized because of all the work that we are doing for the IOSC interoperability, for all the important work that we are contributing also for the research assessment, and for the innovation and the realization of what we have, what is the landscape of our repositories. We realized that I have more and more hybrid repositories, catch-all repositories, these kind of things, institutions using different repositories for different kinds of outputs, but also institutions moving to an hybrid repository, etc. Realized that was important as a better answer to the reality, to the state of art, to create one unique guideline that aggregate the data archive guidelines, the software, the other research outputs, the specifications that we have now there, that we can easily integrate it in one single guidelines, OpenAIRE interoperability guidelines for repositories that we want to have soon. But you see the box in gray. We want to maintain in order to be inclusive, to follow also the principle of inclusivity, to maintain version 3 and 4 with some updates that were requested by the community, and create here the 3.1 and the 4.2 versions of the current guidelines, but work already on a merge version. Okay, and keep in parallel the specific OpenAIRE interoperability guidelines for CRIS systems. Okay, maintain version 2 that is mature, and every time and discuss in close relation with Eurocris every time that we need important updates. We will update versions of the version of this CRIS system guidelines. Okay, what we want to do. So I will try to make clear the things that we are updating, the small things that we are updating, and why we are creating this 3.1, etc. And okay, so this is what we are going to have. We are refactoring. We don't have all this puzzle of guidelines. We only have these two guidelines. This, I think, it will be helpful, and then people apply the profile and the needed changes in your data sources. And we will keep everything clearly available in the guidelines.openair.eu. That is something that we really need to start delivering for you to see the changes. So the changes that we are introducing to the current and to have the 3.1 and 4.2, it's for some requests. So in OpenAIRE 4, guidelines, we have integrated explicitly the resource types and the access rights of COAR, and but we don't have it in the resource types in version 3. And there are these requests from the community at the European level, but also our colleagues from La Referencia in Latin America. They already ask us for a long time for this to make it explicitly. In fact, in some cases people are using, but we don't make it explicit that they are compliant with the guidelines 3. So this is why we want to do this as a small update, but this is critical in order to align critical things that are in our version 4 of the guidelines that we want to, that is possible easily to keep it, even if people that have some limitations to update quickly to version 4, they keep version 3, but they are already aligned with the COAR vocabularies for resource type that is critical in the access rights, that it's critical. Some adjustments that we need also to do to version 4 to produce this 4.2, because it will be a benefit. They are coming from the new schema, metadata schema from Datacite, okay? And we will introduce them in the current version 4. We did some changes, version 4, 4.1, and then we will produce version 4.2. Okay, and we will make explicit what we are mentioning, and with the support of Leonidas, I will try to make it clear that the 4 or 5 things that we want to include, that we think it's a benefit. And then later we produce this full tidying up of the guidelines to have one, so in parallel. Okay, we will keep the interoperability guidelines with the flavors of 3.1 and 4.2 with these updates, and we only have one, and then we have the CRIS guidelines. What we have, and just before we go to this some details of what we are including from Datacite, just maybe this slide make more sense at the end, but just to say that what we have in our radar is always to improve our metadata guidelines, is always to have a more contextualized interoperability metadata, more flexible and more embedded into the ecosystem, and also a road to fairness. These are the 4 principles that guide our actions. What we are doing, in fact, including more things from Datacite, is to make it more contextualized, more links, more relationships. Okay, but of course, what we need to work in the future, and what I think having only one merged version for repositories, for literature, for journals will make our life easier, to make it more flexible and embedded when it comes to, for example, policies, open science mandates. These kind of things will be useful to have this approach. So specifically, and then feel free to ask questions or to discuss a bit, or to suggest something. This is an open call really to discuss with you. So from things that we checked in the updates of the metadata schema from Datacite, that we need to integrate or to improve, they are here. So and in fact these are in the principle of the contextualized, better contextualized interoperability metadata. So for publisher, the publisher identifier schema and schema URI, this is always the way that they represent things. We will include this to have a clear mention to the ISSN, for example, in the information of the publisher of that specific article or that specific book chapter, etc. Then one important thing is the affiliations identifier to have the affiliations identifier schema and the schema URI to integrate the different to have to make our life easier to integrate different identifier schemas from the organizations, from the institutions. Expand the data type that what we have in the guidelines is concerned to a version of the Datacite schema that now have more. So we need to, this is always the problem when we list things, then when they are updated, we need to expand it, but this is what we want to do it quickly. And then this dataset related identifier. So these are the things that we have concluded that they are small things that we can do and we should do quickly for our version 4 of the guidelines, because this will do small improvements or small needs that they are already identified by some people, and then in fact it's to create a better alignment between our guideline 4 with the latest dataset schema. Okay, Leonidas, about this, is anything that I missed that should highlight it? Are you there?
I think yes, I'm here. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, just for that, what you already said, that these are the most important updates on getting more contextualized information from the metadata, having information about the publishers and the organization, the affiliations of the organization of the creator of the research product, based on identifiers provided by ROR, ISNI, and for the publisher also other registries such as Fair Sharing, Open Door, and contextualized URIs.
Yeah.
So
This
that
will
would
improve.
represent better, yes, the information.
Yes, represent
in
better,
OpenAIRE.
and it will improve the quality of the knowledge graphs then, because we rely
Yes.
on better identifiers. Yeah. To finish, something that we realize in this work is a small thing, but it's important for the community, and it's not explicit. It's small, but it's relevant. So we mandate to IPMA since the beginning, and this is what we want to use. But in fact, OpenAIRE is already supporting FTP also, for example, from some of the data sources. We start doing that for relevant and key providers of information for our graph from the European Commission, etc. And then then later we realize that this is not explicit for the community. So if we can do for some, and we have already established the processes that we can do, and we have already some specifications that we can provide to the community, why not make it explicit? So we need also to revise this. This is not so relevant in terms of the text of the guidelines, but this is important for the community, because in some cases there are some providers, even from the more the data research data side, that they would like to comply in a different way, to expose the content in a different way. So this is what the text that we have in the guidelines is to use of the use of our IPMH, and what we are going is to revise this and to make clear that we support other ways, and then to make the specifications there a summary, a specification, and point people to documentation when needed, because then we can also, our team can support this. So it's all that. So and then okay, I just want to highlight what we have currently in the guidelines, because I was just focusing on the other one. So we keep the CRIS guidelines as they are. So the latest version is from June 23, and we are always in touch with the responsible people in the Eurocris. I just copy paste this slide here to say that the OpenAIRE guidelines are now managed by an OpenAIRE working group. So it's not only we aim not only to have it internally in OpenAIRE. These small updates are from the OpenAIRE core team, but this we want also to have the contributions from other persons, and so in fact we have people from COAR, from La Referencias, from Gyro from Japan, from Canada, from the perspective of specific metadata schema like DCMI, Datacite. So we want to have these contributions in this group. And one important moment will be a panel that we are organizing in open repositories, in the open repositories in June, in fact in one month, almost our panel, where we are going to have these updates that I already presented available there, and also to announce already the details and the place and already the merged version when people can start also contributing and commenting with some suggestions to have this gathering from the different communities that in fact use our guidelines, because our guidelines are not, they start in OpenAIRE in the context of Europe, but now they are something global to support different regional networks, different national networks in European countries, in Latin American countries, in Japan, in Canada, so in different regions, also in Africa. So we want to make this a global working group that to manage our guidelines. Okay. Do you have any remark related with this presentation, with these updates, things that we are including now from Datacite? You saw something that we didn't mention from your knowledge, from your needs? Just highlight here. I'm just checking in the
So in the chat, until now, we don't have questions,
okay,
but we have here one in our meeting notes. I'm sharing now the screen. Can you see my meeting notes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, for certain that it's something that we are going to support alongside the funder identifier from Crossref. But regarding funders, we have also the process for a funder to be integrated into OpenAIRE is a specific process where we get metadata from the funder itself in order to have better representation in the OpenAIRE graph and not have representation for unidentified projects, because this information is not explicitly shared by Crossref.
Yeah.
So we might have the information from the funder, or the funders from Crossref, but we don't have the functionality to connect them to projects. It's something that we do it only when we have the funder integrated into OpenAIRE. But for this question, of course, we will support there are identifiers also for the funding agencies when this change happens.
Okay. Could you give the link to the latest documentation for integration projects with OIPMH? The link, the latest documentation from our guidelines, or are you talking about?
Are you talking about the CRIS guidelines?
Let's see.
So, yes, okay, for the CRIS guidelines. Yeah, we will share the documentation, but if you're interested in integration of projects, get in touch with us in order to go through it, because it's not an automated process.
Yes.
Yet.
Yes, it's important to state that one thing is the information that we get from the metadata in the systems, in the systems, etc. Another thing is to the data that we receive from the funders and the way that they expose the funders information. Okay. Okay. If Tom, feel free to open the microphone. If you think that is more useful to discuss with us, because sometimes we may not. I just stop feeling maybe lazy, but it's just because I'm not sure if I'm providing the correct answer or not.
So yeah, we're already delivering datasets, and we're now trying to deliver projects and research outputs. We're now implementing it. The reason why I'm asking for the latest version was in datasets, we didn't add the publication date, and I saw in a later version it was added. So I was not sure if we had the latest version, because you have latest. Let me rephrase the question then. What's the difference between latest and the version 1.2.0, for example?
What is the difference between
the latest version and the version 1.2.0 for the OAI PMH? I can select it if the link to your documentation that you gave me now in the chat.
Hopefully that we don't have a wrong link in the yes.
Yeah, it's 1.2.0.
Is the latest version, yes.
Okay, so it's there's no difference between, because in versions I can choose between latest stable, version 1.2.0, 1.1.1, and develop.
Okay. Where are you seeing that?
If I open the link that you send me, and on the right corner I can see the I can select the version.
Okay. But please follow 1.2.
Yeah, okay, will do. Thank you.
1.2. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. My camera is not working. I don't know why.
No problem. Follow 1.2. Maybe we need to check if we have like a link
we need to check
a link for the latest version is linking not to the 1.2.
The latest version is 1.2.0 for the CRIS guidelines, but where do
I'm trying to find. Let's investigate that if there is a wrong link, and then we fix it. But Tom, thank you for the question, and be sure that this link that Leonidas put in the chat is the latest for the.
Yes, in the link we sent you, I see the versions part where we have the history from version 1 to version 1.2.0, which is the latest version.
I think I think I was sharing the screen. This is why I was. So this is the latest version, okay, and so there are the mentions here in the versions here for the PDF that is published in
yes, exactly.
in Zenodo. So follow 1.2.0, okay, please.
Yeah, will do. No, okay. It's at the right corner in your screen. You can now select the version. That was why I was a little bit confused.
Okay.
If you can see in the black box and at the right corner of your screen is 1.2.0, and there you can also select other versions. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, this is this facility of reading the docs. Yes. Okay. If I click in latest. Okay. No, okay, but
and we already had contact with Leonidas before for datasets. To give Leonidas a heads up, we'll also try to provide projects and research outputs now.
Yeah. And what projects do you want to? It's from a specific country, from.
I'm working for the the Flemish government.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's get.
I remember
get in touch
that
with
we did
us,
something.
Jess.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
we get the project information.
Yes. So we can. It's important to say one thing, and then Leonidas correct me if it's not explicit. So we can always receive, if we follow our guidelines, we can aggregate the content and the project information, attach it to the linking to that specific publication, data set, or whatever. But as Leonidas mentioned, if we have the funder in our portfolio of funders, we may have richer links between what we get from the publications and what we have in our databases, because we may have other details from the funding, the better information about the project that belongs to that specific funding stream from that funder, RORs, DOIs, etc. So, but it depends from funder to funder, and the way that we provide us the information in a richer way or in a poor way.
Even if we have the funding information in the publications from a data source, if we don't have the projects from the funder, we cannot relate this information, because we need the information from the funder.
Yes, thank you. Perfect. Let's go. We can come back to the questions about the guidelines. Feel free to ask questions. We will keep you informed. Sabil, just we have now like some time also for you, Sabil. Do you want to share the screen?
Share my screen.
Yes, please. Sabil Sa is part of our OpenAIRE technical team, is responsible also for the aggregation, and it's someone that also can interact with you as Leonidas about the aggregation of the content from your data sources, from your CRIS systems, repositories, data repositories, etc. Yes.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, perfect, Sabil.
Okay, so good afternoon from my behalf as well. As Pedro mentioned, my name is Sabil Shah, and I'm part of OpenAIRE aggregation team. And next, in this session, we're gonna take a look at a tool which is called MSCR, which stands for Metadata Schema and Crosswalk Registry. Before we take a look at the introduction.
Just project a bit better the voice, because the sound is not great. It's not bad, but it's
okay. Is it better now?
Yes. If you project better the voice, is good. Okay. Please continue. Please, sorry for that. Continue.
So before we go into the introduction of tool, let me give you an overview of data flow in OpenAIRE. Most of you are probably aware of this, but if in case somebody's not, then on the left, we have all the data sources, which can be repositories, for instance, literature repository, data repository, CRIS, and so on. They are distributed servers in their own premises, and they expose their metadata via OAI PMH endpoints. And then in OpenAIRE, we perform the aggregation, which is a two-step process. First, we collect the data from the provided endpoints, and then we perform the transformation. In the next step, we store this in our system. Mostly it's a Hadoop distributed file system. And then we perform various analytics, for instance, deduplication, enriching, and then cleaning. And finally, this post-processed data is released for the scientific community in two forms. One, we put it in OpenAIRE Explore, so they can explore the graph using this web application. And secondly, the data dump. So the whole graph post-processed data is also hosted in data dump for the community if somebody is interested. So important point for this context here is over here, when we collect the data from the data sources, it has to conform to the guidelines, which we have already seen quite in detail in previous slides. What's the current steps which the data source managers perform to conform the metadata into the recommended OpenAIRE guidelines? So they go through the textual pages where the documentation is there for the guidelines, and they perform their own improvised crosswalks, probably Excel sheet or so on. And then they test in the second step in OpenAIRE Provide whether this metadata which they have conformed to the guidelines is actually properly conformed or not. So validation process can be performed in the OpenAIRE Provide, and it gives us quite detailed analysis of any anomalies in the metadata schema, and it also points out which anomalies, which exact guidelines is not being followed, and also gives us some of the native records which are not conformed to the guidelines. So yeah, this is the current state, how the data managers are performing the tasks for the crosswalk. Then comes the tool. This tool is developed together with the European Open Science Cloud project. It's an online tool, and we are looking at one of the screenshots from this online tool, where on the left-hand side, we have the source schema, and on the right-hand side, we have the target schema. Dublin Core is the source, and OpenAIRE Guidelines for Literature Repositories version 4 is the target schema. We can select one of the fields. We can then see the attributes of it on the left side, and then we choose graphically the corresponding fields in the target schema. And then with this button, we can link it, and we perform it for the whole schema. And then we can even export this and in various formats, and then it can be used for automatic transformation as well. And so the steps which we follow for this crosswalk: first, we register our source schema, then we register our target schema, and then we create the crosswalks. So I think all of you are aware probably the various schemas which we are in the domain. And one additional point here is that once you have registered the schemas and perform the crosswalks, you can collaborate with other community members as well by sharing it within this tool. So if they log into the tool, they can explore the crosswalks and comment on it if there are some anomalies, and they don't have to each time see the schemas manually. So within the tool, they can share with each other. Yeah, to sum it up, the features of the tool: we can register schemas, we can create crosswalks, and then we can perform collaboration with the community members on a single platform. So yeah, that concludes my my talk. And if there are any questions, comments, please feel free to ask.
Sorry, I was speaking. I was muted. Just keep the slides. I think they are quite helpful, and the schemas are quite well presented. Thank you for the effort, Sabil. Great and clear presentation. Yuri is asking here in the chat. Yuri Carrier, can the tool used outside OpenAIRE?
Yes, it's a prototype, but it can be used. So you need to log into it, and you can play around with it. So let me see if I have So this is the link to the tool. It's a web application, and it's hosted on Finland servers.
It's in the prototype stage because of this US project, and but I think for playing with it, it's
yeah, we are still building additional features whenever we see, when we get feedback on when we see the need to it, and then it's evolving. So the current prototype is test 2 version.
Yeah. But I think the question from Yuri is because Yuri is already seeing some utility for that. Okay, and this is so important that this is a clear need of the community for this kind when we do this kind of processes. Feel free to open the microphone or to put more questions. I know that this is a quite specific presentation, but so we have a diversity of people here. Feel free if you want to ask something. If not, okay, feel free to ask questions about my presentation, Sabil, or to Leonidas, to Andre. Is there any other issue from the aggregation point of view? Anything that is missing? We already I'm lost already now about which I don't think is the case for any of you here, but if it is, just mention it. I don't remember now exactly when we are decommissioning the driver and the OpenAIRE 2.0 repositories, but it will be, because we said that it will be in fact around in the first quarter of this year. Now I suppose it will not be for sure before summer, but by the end of the year, count with that. Did we took a decision, Leonidas? I don't remember a final decision in our last technical meeting about the driver and the 2.0. But for sure you'll not be.
You will be notified. We didn't take a decision on the date.
On the date,
Yes.
yes, because we said that by the end of the first quarter should be, but so as we know that there are some critical, that we know that from our campaign that there are some repositories that are making an effort to update their compliance level. We are postponing a bit, but we cannot postpone much more in order to have an alignment also with the content in the OSCE node, the alignment with the interoperability in OSCE, etc. Okay. Feel free to okay, maybe Yuri, if you want to send just feel free to send a private message to Sabil with your email, and Sabil can contact you, or just put your email here in the chat if you want, but just send a message here to Sabil and Sabil can contact you about this the tool. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So slides will be sent to you as normal. Thank you for joining once again and for an interest. Feel free to contact us if you have any doubt, any issue. Good that you are continue with us and contributing to OpenAIRE, and hopefully OpenAIRE is also useful for your institution, your organization, and you as a professional. Bye bye all. Thank you for joining, and see you. We will have another call in June, and we can confirm that will be in the 3rd of June. June is always a busy period, we know, with several meetings at the national and European level, but we will do the call in the first Wednesday of the month. And feel free also to suggest topics for discussion if you want to discuss something specifically. Okay, bye bye all. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.